Welcome to the testing world. In this session, we are going to set up environment for Ruby programming language. So these are the four softwares that we need to install. First is Ruby, which is the programming language. Next is we want editor. Editor means where we are going to write Ruby code. So if we use Notepad as an editor, then we don't need to go for the rest of the three components. But disadvantage to write code on the notepad is that we are not going to get any help like IntelliSense. It will be difficult to debugging. So if we want to write code in the notepad, then we don't need to go for other components. But for this session, for this complete course, we are going to use Eclipse for writing code. Java is the prerequisite for Eclipse. So because we want to install Eclipse and want to write Ruby code on there, that's why we need to set up prerequisite first. So that's the prerequisite. Java is the prerequisite for the Eclipse. So first of all, we need Ruby. Then we are going to install Java, which is a prerequisite for the Eclipse. After that, once we complete the Eclipse installation, we need a Ruby plugin on the Eclipse, because by default Eclipse is coming for Java programming language, but if you want to write Ruby code on Eclipse, then we need Ruby plugin. First, I'm going to check how we can set up Ruby in our system. So before moving to that, first we need to check, do we have Ruby by default installed or not? So go to the command prompt and just write Ruby space -v. It's going to show version, but here it does not show the version, means in my system we don't have a Ruby. So go to Google, download Ruby for Windows. So we are going to set up this on the Windows. Download Ruby installer, and here we are getting the different installers. We have the latest installer, which is 2.3.0, before then 2.2.4, but they are asking, like here, if we go for the latest installer for the 2.2.x or upper version, many gems we can understand is like a library. Many libraries are not compatible with that. So best practice is to go to a previous stable installer, that which is 2.0.0. So I'm just downloading 2.0.0 as a Ruby installer for me. It is a small file of around 16.9 MB. So once it will download, we will start installation. So once it is done, just click on this installer and run it. Here accept license, next. It's a very straightforward process, so we are just following like next and install, and here we see Ruby is installed successfully. So now check it again, like do we have Ruby installed or not. So go to the command prompt, ruby -v. Here we see we have installed Ruby, but it is still does not display Ruby version. Now we have to set up environment variable. To set up environment variable, I'm just closing command prompt. Go to the location where Ruby is installed. So in my system, I have Ruby in C drive, and that's Ruby. I just go to the folder, go to the bin folder, copy the path of this bin folder, and to set up environment variable, go to the My Computer, right click, Properties. Here we are going to get Advanced System Settings, Environment Variable. Here inside the system variable, search for a path variable. So that's my path variable. Click on Edit. Go to the start of this variable value. So I'm just pressing home button and I'm on the starting phase. Paste the path which you copied for Ruby till bin and then write semicolon. So here we can see that is the path which I pasted, and at the end I written semicolon. Semicolon means we have separated previously exist path with new path. Just click on OK. OK. So everything is done. Moving to command prompt again and just ruby space -v, and here we can see it display version. If it's displaying version means Ruby installed successfully, and now we are ready to move to the other components. So moving to this, and we have already set up Ruby. If you want to use Notepad as the editor, then we need not to go for other options, other softwares, means our environment is ready. So that's all we have for the session in which we have installed Ruby and we by default have Notepad. So one setup environment is ready, but in the next lecture we are going to show how we can set up the next environment. So that's all we have for this session. Thanks for watching this video.